I'm sure that in a few months I'll be here pulling my hair, breaking my voice, and maybe punching walls over how incredible Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be. Guys, you are not gonna believe this! Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is... Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is... a game I have pretty mixed feelings for. Alright, so... Xenoblade Chronicles. Shit, what can I say? There's no need for me to go... I have many videos about it. You guys know this is one of my favorite JRPG franchises. These games drive me to insanity, except X because I still don't play X. So with how much I praise Xenoblade 1, 2 and Torna, it's easy to imagine I set up a bar very high for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, right? Well, yes and no. Naturally, I saw the first few trailers, but everything that came afterwards I simply didn't bat an eye. I didn't even watch the direct about the game. I knew almost nothing about the story, the characters, the world, or the combat system. I went in fully blind, hoping to be surprised, so... Is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a worthy successor? Is it truly the pinnacle of the series many fans expected it to be? Well, given I still haven't punched the wall in excitement, there are many things I want to say. This game is rough, and I have mixed feelings about it. I don't want you to believe it's bad, no, far from it! But instead of going in circles, I might as well tell you. And get ready because I'm gonna be comparing this to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a lot in this video, for better or worse. So, might as well start with the better. Okay, so, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. In life you have two possible choices, either you love this game or you're the worst person ever made. This RPG has a plethora of problems, tons of barriers and obstacles that understandably prevent people from recognizing its true greatness. If they can get past the super anime and over-sexualized designs, then you have the awful tutorials. If you can get past the awful tutorials, then you have the terrible pacing during the first few chapters. If you can get past the terrible pacing during the first chapters, then you have to deal with the gacha aspects and... well, I think you get the point. People have a lot to say about 2. But that's where 3 steps in. If there's anything about 3 I genuinely respect is that just like Torna, it addressed most of the issues people had with 2. To be honest, I always thought people were overreacting to the issues of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because there aren't really that many. I mean, pacing, combat system, gacha system, regs, over-sexualized designs, the story, the English voice acting. I don't mean to say 3 is flawless because no. A huge no. But when I played it, I could tell Monolith Soft really listened to feedback and in consequence, 3 is now one of the easiest games in the franchise to digest. Let's start with the comparisons, shall we? 2 has it bad even before 1 plays it, thanks to its quote-unquote weeboo trash game reputation, which was mostly acquired thanks to its character designs. While there were some really good ones, there were others who were either overly sexualized, or bad, or both. But in Xenoblade 3, I don't believe that is the case. I'll put it simple. There's not a single character design I hate in this game, on the contrary! I think everyone, no exception, looks fantastic! And I'm not just talking about the main characters. Everyone from the NPCs, the supporting cast, and the antagonists, they're all good. Nobody has to rely on excessive fan service. Except Riku because... have you seen him? And there's even a better balance of races, genders and diversity. It's great! I was always looking forward to the next area just to see what type of new people I will meet. I believe this makes 3 feel more attractive to the average player, and it's easier to take seriously. Now, I'm not saying fanservice is bad on its own or that it ruins 2 as a whole, because clearly that's not the case. But you can't deny the game has a bad reputation because of it. And even then, if that aspect of 2 never bothered you, you still had to deal with everything else, like the combat system. I said before that I consider this one of the greatest ones in all the RPGs I played, and even after playing 3, I still think it is. Its main issue was how difficult it was to understand with so many concepts, mechanics, variables, and the tutorials being beyond bad. You really needed external help to understand it. While Xenoblade 3 is different enough to set itself apart and it still has its own issues, the game does a great job to make players understand it, because now, whether you like it or not, the tutorials are mandatory. At first you're forced step by step through most of the mechanics, and in case you still didn't fully get it, you have the option to enter these VR rooms and practice different mechanics. It might be a pace killer at first, but it's necessary since the game is just as stacked with mechanics as its predecessors. It does fall a bit short in explaining certain terms and mechanics, but it was such a massive leap forward that very rarely I had to search online for things that weren't clear to me. The more you progress, the better you understand the system, and the combat expands, getting constantly better. And the best part of all of this is, there is not an intrusive gacha system this time around. They fixed one of the biggest issues of the past in the best possible way. Rare blades were replaced with heroes. Normally you have the 6 main characters in your party, but you can add a 7th character to accompany you. This is known as a hero, and each and every single one of them is unique. They all have their own movesets, roles, skills, and unique effects during chain attacks that can completely turn the tables in battle. Thing is, you don't get them at random. Some of them are story focused, while others require you to go out of your way to meet them. But once you finish their quests, they will permanently join you. And to make it even better, they all have their own class which all the party members have access to. And yes, you heard that right. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a job system which only gets better the more heroes you recruit, because you get so much liberty with your team compositions. And there's even more. Remember the field skills from Xenoblade 2 that could potentially halt your progress if you didn't have enough luck with your blades? Well, there are still obstacles in your path that you can traverse at certain points, but some heroes give you the skills as permanent buffs that let you explore areas you couldn't previously. I will say though, I think this mechanic is a bit forced because they basically took away some skills you had in previous games by default, like climbing walls, and now locked it behind a hero. Is it an improvement from 2? Sure, by all means, but I think it's also a bit redundant because in the first game, for example, the only thing stopping you from exploring more of an area were high-level monsters, which, by the way, are still a thing here. Check out what happened during my first 5 minutes of the game.
Okay, how are we meant to fight that?
Everyone, I'm sorry.
Finally, we have the voice acting, which... it's unbelievably good! Like, damn! They really took that criticism to heart. In 2, the voices weren't bad per se, but the direction was awful. But here, right from the get-go, I found the performances to be stellar. The characters felt so distinct from one another. Their voices matched that of their expressions, and the most emotional and tense moments hit harder thanks to the voice actors. A special mention goes to Noah, the main protagonist, because dude rarely went tough, but when he did it, he ensured that you will remember him. Some newcomers might be thrown off by the strong accents, but no, that's just a Xenoblade tradition. You'll get used to it in no time. Literally, when it comes to the voice acting, I only have 2 complaints, nitpicks to be exact. In this game, characters love to swear, but we ain't talking about fuck or damn, no. Almost every swear word in this game is replaced with spark or snuff, and it's so embarrassing to listen to. Like, sure, I know nobody in this game knows what a fuck is, but there are many other words they could have used, especially since they use shit at times. So this whole snuff and spark thing makes the dialogue at times sound like a forked stuff. And the other nitpick I have is that the characters love to repeat that one line over and over again. Let Lance exemplify that for you.
Check out this sick new skill! Check out this sick new skill! Check out this sick new skill!
With this, I might make Xenoblade 3 sound like 2, but with every issue fixed and more! But no. You might find this hard to believe, but Xenoblade 3 is the game in the franchise that took me the most to truly get invested into, and for a few hours I was feeling nothing, and there's a good reason for that. Despite all the improvements and all the quality of life changes, this game is slow. How slow are we talking? Do you remember my talking speed during my late 2020, early 2021 videos? So good, it was even made into a weapon in Hyrule Warriors. And once again, they make all the dungeons you visit so fun. That's slow. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has an issue where its peaks are high, really good, but it takes forever to get there. And I feel that every aspect, even the smallest things, suffer from it. The combat, for example. Once again, credit for the tutorials and because of how different it is without straying too far from the formula. 3 is a combination of 1 and 2 because you have 2 types of arts which are split into Kebes and Agnes categories. Kebesi arts feel over time, while Agnes's do with every strike you do on the enemy. Eventually you can equip 3 arts of each faction and even combine their effects in a singular, more powerful strike. And unique to this game, you can temporarily merge your characters into a singular entity called Uroboros, giving more depth to the combat. All of this sounds awesome, and trust me, it is. But thing is, you don't have many options to toy with at first. You have to level up and unlock more heroes in order to always have something to do. This was a massive pain at first because you barely have something to do in combat during the first few hours. Chapter 1 was a pain to go through. It's not bad narratively and the climax is excellent, but gameplay wise, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. Only 3 arts are at your disposal, and the same 2-hit animation with your character. Sure, a bit later you get a full party, chain attacks and heroes, but even if the combat does get better, I don't think the problem stopped there. I believe 3's battle system has an inherent problem where you're constantly waiting for your arts to recharge, waiting to level up your interlink, waiting to use the chain attack, waiting to use the next move in a chain attack. And this is so jarring to me because it feels like I'm always aiming for the same objectives. First I use my arts, which involve a lot of waiting. If the enemy still has a lot of HP, then I try my hand at a chain attack since it's almost guaranteed to KO an enemy if you know how to use it properly. But if that's still not enough, I use my level 3 Ouroboros form to defeat the enemy. And if that's still not enough, the cycle starts again. Also, did I mention they removed the quick time events in this game? They took away something that invested me even more. See, here's the thing. With 3 I feel that with most battles I'm always following the same pattern, and the only true difference is which class I want to play as. And also, the partner AI in this game is good! Really good! But with 6-7 characters in combat, doing the most optimal strategies, I feel like there's not much I can contribute here even if I can swap between them at any time. I mean, sure, I made their builds and gave them arts that synergize well, but during combat, unless the battle is really challenging, I don't think that I'm doing much here because my partners take care of everything. I can recall so many battles where I put my character on an auto attack range and let my partners finish the battle while I was doing something else, and they always emerged victorious. Let's compare it once again. Xenoblade 2's combat was difficult to understand, sure, but awful tutorials aside, that's also because there were so many things to take into consideration. So many options you had at once and most of them felt like your responsibility. This combat system always had my full attention. Do I do a driver combo or a blade combo? If I say I have the chance, then I hurry up to make a fusion combo. But hold on, in order to do that I need my partner to spawn the right element blade to continue with it, and then I can finish it off myself. My party HP is low and I'm not a healer? Okay, Rex can spawn HP potions for emergency healing. A partner was KO'd? Well, shit, now I got to sacrifice some of my party gauge if we want to stand a chance. And if I played my cards correctly, we can finish it off with a chain attack, where I still needed to pay attention to the different elements and quick time events. But if I strategize correctly, I will finish off the monster with a full burst, which was fucking satisfying! See, what I mean to say is that 2's combat always had me doing something and rewarding me as a result. I'm not saying the combat of 3 is bad, oh no, it's great. The important battles during the second half and the endgame stuff are a delight to experience. But it takes so long to get there, and even then, unless I'm missing something, at its peak, I don't think this combat system is better than 2's, and unfortunately, I can say the same about other aspects of the game. The presentation. This one is more of a nitpick, honestly, because the presentation of 3 is just as good as the other games. Character models are at their best here, the menus give the game its own identity, and that's cool. But the only place where it falls short is in its battle action. I've always respected Monolith Soft because even in the first game, the action during cutscenes was always a spectacle. And here, it's no exception, but during battle... what a downgrade. In Xenoblade 2, they went above and beyond with the animations. It was so rewarding seeing the drivers and blades go apeshit during their specials. How can you not go hype when they go... Three brought back the special animations, but unless we talk about the Ouroboros ones, which are great, they're now so boring to watch. More often than not, I was going, wait, is that it? Really, just look at them. The exploration. I'll put it simple. Xenoblade 3's map is massive. I think it's 5 times larger than previous games. And as you will expect at this point, it's filled with so many beautiful landscapes, a variety of terrains, and cool secrets to find. But this map is so big! So fucking big! It's overwhelming! There's so much to explore, so many quests, objectives, monsters, that it makes the simplest of tasks take forever to complete. Gathering quests are at their worst here because of how spread out everything is. While quick travel is still here, it always feels like your objective is so far away from all the landmarks. You also have these husks that are usually in places far away from your path, and you still have to watch an animation to send them off. There's so many monsters that attack you on sight, wasting your time, that there just came a point where I said fuck it and started to ignore almost every regular battle in this game because I wanted to get a move on. And just walking in a straight line feels like a loading screen. I lost account of how many times I took out my phone because I was outright bored of exploring, and it's honestly frustrating because I think most of my issues will have alleviated if there was like a dash button or something. You can get 2 upgrades to increase your speed, sure, but one of them is really hard to get, and the maximum speed doesn't help much if you ask me. And then you have the story. It's weird because there's really not much wrong with it, but that's the thing. At first, huge emphasis on at first, I was feeling absolutely nothing with this story. I had no idea what was going on because my attention was constantly drifting somewhere else. Only times I was genuinely focused was when cool action was happening on screen or when they were clearly referencing Xenoblade 1 and 2. Now, I'm not gonna pretend the stories of those games were flawless or anything, but 1 peaks very early, and just when it begins to lose steam, it peaks again just at the right times. 2 may have its awful moments, but ironically, they're memorable, and the game makes up for it with some high quality spikes. As I said, 3's story is weird because, aside from some cool action scenes and callbacks to previous entries, at first, it wasn't holding my attention at all. And I also want to add, the villains of this game are okay, if I have to put it nicely. Like, you fight these guys, Mobius, and there's one for each letter of the alphabet, except for Ñ, which makes me believe this game is xenophobic. But most of them are relegated to side quest fodder, amounting to nothing more than Saturday morning cartoon villains. There are some standouts that get all the spotlight, sure, and they are good. They work in context of the story, but I don't think they reach the toes of Eggle, Metalface, and especially Malos. Well, shit then, what does this all mean? Do I like this game or not? Will this goal be punched or what? I had to repeat what I said earlier. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the game in the franchise that has taken me the most effort to truly get invested into. And not because there's much wrong with it or anything, but because there was nothing sucking me in. Or sucking me, for that matter. But guess what? In the end, I ended up loving this game because there just comes a point where everything blows up, and it made up for that emptiness I was feeling at first. Again, the combat. During the second half of the game, I started to unlock more options to toy with, and many of the big bosses and important battles had my full attention. Even at the standard difficulty, I still had to be wary of my team composition, and at times, I will go on to fight enemies levels above my party, which was beyond rewarding to do. The side quests. I just can't ignore how high quality the ones tied to the heroes are, because they're fully voiced and even have their own cool cutscenes. Even the regular side quests felt nice upon completion, because I love seeing my affinity chart grow and see all these people connect. The music, oh! As usual, the soundtrack of a Xenoblade game never disappoints. I've always said this before. Xenoblade 1 had the better area music. Xenoblade 2 had the better combat music. So what does 3 have? This might be weird, but I think it has the best event music. Yeah, the one that plays during cutscenes and dialogue. I don't know why, but those songs were the best for me. They fully enhanced the moment that was on screen. When you hear those flutes, you know shit's about to hit you. But nothing picks harder than the story because after a certain point in the game, it's where it all started to click. The narrative, the messages, and especially the characters. God damn! They all grow on you so much that it becomes difficult to choose a favorite. The scenes, the themes, everything comes together in such a way that it always had me feeling extreme emotions. I was completely invested, looking forward to what will come next. I went from being so disconnected, to this. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a phenomenal game that suffers from its slow beginning. And no, I'm not talking about the first chapter. I shit you not, it took me maybe 30 or 40 hours until everything truly started to shine for me. And I'm telling you this as a person who can get past Xenoblade 2's flaws and made a whole video about it. But when 3 finally hit its peaks, I couldn't drop the game. It revived that magic I can only feel with this franchise, and while it still has flaws inherent to its design, I can confidently say this is a worthy addition to the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. And well, let's cut it some slack. Let's not forget that Xenoblade 2 also had it rough at first, but the Season Pass as well as free updates helped to polish the game even further. It still had many problems, but it improved the experience dramatically. And of course, we can't forget the masterpiece that is the DLC story of Torna. So you know, I don't doubt there will be the same case with 3. This game is just beginning, and it has so much to offer, but for now, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a great game that you owe to yourself to play because it's that good! Ouch. Well, you know the drill. Thank you so much everyone for watching the video. I really hope you had an enjoyable time. If you want to support the channel, I really appreciate anything. Liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, whatever. It will be most appreciated. Have a wonderful day and take care. I'll see you next time.